control your online data. Being Owen Blair, this is all that Google has on me since 2018. This consists of 6.42 gigabytes and a bunch of folders. Or more specifically, here's the entire file directory list that Google has on me. All of my digital life is summed up in this. My entire digital persona that Google knows of is about 1/64th of this. And if you're not in control of your own data, it can be simply tossed aside. So, if you do the math behind it, that's about 204 bytes per second I am generating. So just talking to you, I am generating data no matter what. Whether it's through talking to you or the use of electronic devices like computers and phones. So, to control your online data, you first have to know what is your online data. And this is how the European Commission defines online data for European Union citizens. So examples of this are stuff like your name, your house address. And the scary part of it is that it's not always voluntarily given out, and it can be taken whether you like it or not. And therefore, you need more control over your own data. This is another chart showing other examples of your personal data. For example, like medical history, household income, and so on and so forth. And this is the reason why I'm talking to you today. Some people believe that there is a kernel of truth in this meme behind me. I promise you, there are no cats in your computer stealing your information. They are real people, and they are a big concern. So why should you bother protecting your data? I'll give you the research behind it. I can show you what I can do with 10 minutes and a new Facebook account, and I can also show you how your personal identity online directly relates to identity theft. So the Pew Research Institute recently did a study and showed that 64% of Americans have had their online data stolen within the past year. To put that into perspective, this entire blue square is the entire United States population. The red square is everyone who has had some of their data stolen. Also, given 10 minutes, I can find a lot of things on myself using my John Smith account, which is a new Facebook account they created. This includes stuff like my personal address, my license plate number on my car, and other personal information. David has also gladly volunteered himself to be a subject of this. So I'm not going to get into any specifics, but the most specific thing I found was what David called, his perfect League of Legends game. This was in August of 2014. He had 10 kills and 0 deaths, and about 20,000 of damage was given to enemy players. And he's a monster, because he killed a neutral minion as well. Oh, other unimportant things I found out was like where he had his heart surgery, and probably the doctor that operated him. But that's just a side note. The other big thing is identity theft. Identity theft is a big problem regarding control of your online data. For example, I had a friend who got gas in Bend, Oregon, and ended up his credit card going to Mexico when he was still very clearly in Bend. This raises several other issues. When he tried to get a job, there was a background check, and that same credit card that went to Mexico without him also ended up being in some shady purchasing down in Mexico, and he was flagged on a background check and barely got his job despite that. I also want to point out some important quotes. Now, the people in these quotes are important because 2 of which are former directors of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, who know extensively on what the United States government can do. Also, the last dude, he only invented the largest growing form of entertainment on the internet. So, how do you protect your online data? 3 ways: truth, justice, and the educated way. So first off, for truth, you need to validate what websites are telling you is true. You also need to know what the privacy policy means. This includes things using like the POLIS tool. So instead of reading a huge, big privacy policy, what the POLIS tool does is it allows you to look at something like this. It's easy to navigate. And if you look at your handout, you can find the URL there. justice. So now, for this part, you need to know a little bit more about the law within your state and country. So a basic understanding of laws can help protect you against so-called privacy wolves, or people who want to take advantage of your lack of knowledge for privacy. And finally, the educated way, knowledge. Knowing what you're doing is the best thing. A good thing to learn about yourself online is using Firefox Monitor. They allow you to input an email address and see what data is associated with that email address. And then some interesting books, which are also again referred to on your handout that I find, is the Dark Hero of the Information Age, Understanding the Digital World, and my personal favorite, The Second Self. The other thing I want to point out is that if you don't control your mind, someone else will. That was a quote written in the 1700s. But the same goes for online data. If you don't control your data, someone else will. So again, the entire time I've been talking to you, I have generated about 50,000 bytes of data just talking to you. There has been 1,350 hours of video footage uploaded to YouTube, and all Facebook users throughout the entire world, and the time I've been talking to you, have generated 1,666,000 likes. It's your data. You should control it. Big companies like Facebook and Twitter should not have complete control over your data and your personal information. Thank you. Any questions?
Is there like software that I can get that can help me protect my online data?
You can. So for instance, if you use a web browser that is backed by a nation-backed company, for instance, Mozilla Firefox, they have better privacy policies within regards to how they use your information for analytics and aren't selling it to companies because their funding comes from all donations. Whereas if you use something like Google Chrome, which is backed by Google, all that information goes directly to Google, and after that, you've got no idea where it goes. Thank you.